Hello friends, welcome to the Trading Temple channel. Today, as you can see, we're going to analyze the Near protocol chart, and we'll also take a brief look at the Bitcoin chart as well as Bitcoin dominance. What's important, as you can see on the screen, is that after a long time, we're now in a position to break this medium-term trend line in Near protocol and move towards $3.50. But the price was rejected there after forming a very bad candlestick in this area called a shooting star. The price was rejected and came down. And we talked about Near protocol in previous weeks. We said that as long as it can't get back above this trend line, it's not bullish again. What you can see is that now it has finally managed to get back above this trend line and has made a very good move. We talked about how in the 4-hour time frame, we had a very strong support level here that needed to hold. When the price was rejected here and entered this trend line downward, this support level held. This support level held exactly when it touched the 50-day, 100-day, and 200-day moving averages. After hitting these moving averages, it formed a very strong candle called an engulfing candle. And with the volume it had, you can also see the volume in this section, it managed to hold. The volume was much higher than those previous red candles, and it managed to break this trend line and move upward. We are still not 100% bullish on Near protocol. In this area where Near protocol is currently positioned, it could move back up and reach the top of this range, a range that Near protocol has been in for almost 10 months. That means around this area, near $3.50, we need to see what decision it makes here again. Will the price be able to break this resistance and go higher this time or not? If the price reaches this area, $3.50, it might have a pullback, and in the next round, if it goes up, the price could rise to $4.50 to $5. Because if you look at this area on the left, we have some very large gaps here that need to be filled. In this area, we have a very strong resistance at $4.50 to $5, because if we look at the weekly time frame, we also see this gap here. But on the other hand, we have the 50-week, 100-week, and 200-week moving averages here. And when the price hits these moving averages, it might either get rejected or we could see a small pullback. So far this week, the candle that has formed is a very bullish candle. It could go and test the 50-week moving average, and here it has to decide what it wants to do. It might break this resistance or it might not. If it breaks the resistance, it could move toward the $4.50 to $5 price range. It has managed to maintain its bullish momentum and hasn't dropped below the 40 level. If we draw a trend line from here, you can see that it has nicely managed to hold this level, and as long as these levels are maintained, the price can move higher. And in the weekly time frame, if we look at the RSI, we can see that we have a long-term downward trend line, which after a long time has finally been broken. That is, if we draw it here, it's clear that it was broken in this area, did a backtest, and is now ready to move upward. The only problem in this area is that these moving averages make things very difficult. And if these moving averages are broken, and if this resistance is also broken, the price will most likely be able to go up to $8. We have to see what happens in the next few weeks. This applies to both Bitcoin and Near protocol. If the market stays bullish like this, it's fine, and Near protocol can also break through this resistance here, which has held it down for 10 months, and move higher. For now, Near protocol is about 60% bullish in my opinion, as long as it has crossed this trend line and stays above it. If Near protocol's price drops back down and loses this support level, things will get very difficult, and in my opinion, Near protocol could even head toward the $2 range or lower. If it loses this support level and this trend line, also if it loses these moving averages in this area for the daily time frame, things will get very tough. As long as it's above these moving averages and above this trend line, it's very likely that it can first test $3.50, and if it breaks through $3.50, it can move towards $4.50 to $5. If we calculate it in percentage terms, Near protocol could potentially go up by nearly 50% in the next move. The same thing happened on the Avalanche chart. When Avalanche broke through this very heavy range, you can see that it filled these gaps and then surged sharply upward. The area where Avalanche hit here could be the same area where Near protocol might reach $4.50 to $5. Near protocol is currently in this zone. It's a very big move. We have to see what happens to Near protocol in the next few days or weeks. In order for us to know how altcoins will perform in the future, it's very important that we also analyze the Bitcoin chart. Those who want to know what will happen to Near Protocol should definitely stay until the end of the video, because we also need to take a look at the Bitcoin chart, because it's Bitcoin that is the ultimate decision maker for crypto. As you can see today, Bitcoin managed to set a new all-time high. The formation that this candle has created in this area, which is the last resistance for Bitcoin, can't really be considered a very interesting candle. As I mentioned, these kinds of candles also appeared in the Near protocol. You can see in this section that a candle formed here, called a shooting star, which usually causes the price to either reverse or have a major pullback. On the Bitcoin chart, this candle has just formed, but there are still about 12 hours left until it closes. We have to see what happens by the end of the day. If this candle ends up looking a lot like the one you see here, then it's very likely that Bitcoin will have a pullback. And why do I say it's going to have a pullback? Because after about 7 or 8 days, Bitcoin has been almost entirely green and with very high volume. You can see here that the volume is very green. The price has managed to go up, and without any pullback, it has gone straight up. Usually when we get close to the resistance level, at the very last resistance, the price might have a pullback. I actually think it could have a deep pullback, bringing the price down toward this area to test this support level, which is around $117,000, and then the price could go up again if this support level holds. Bitcoin has two support levels that are very important in my opinion. The first one is at $117,000, and if this support level holds, we need to see what kind of performance it shows in that area. Will we see a very high volume that pushes the Bitcoin price up or not? If this level can't hold and drops lower, it will reach this area at $114,000. And this is really the last support that Bitcoin can have, and if this one breaks too, things will get really tough for Bitcoin. For now, we have to see what happens in the coming week. There's another scenario too. If Bitcoin enters a range here and doesn't have a sharp pullback, for example, right now, the price would have to drop 5% from here to reach this support level. If Bitcoin can range in this area and form something like a flag here, so how would it form a flag? It means it would form like this and then move up. This type of flag is very good for altcoins, and altcoins won't experience a sharp drop. But if Bitcoin's price drops below the area I just mentioned, if it drops directly, it makes things a bit more difficult for the Near protocol in this area. In my opinion, if Bitcoin enters a range or forms a small flag in this area for about a week or two, it would be very good for altcoins, and altcoins could recover and see some movement. If we also take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, as you can see, it still hasn't managed to break through the resistance we've been talking about to the upside, and that's very good. As long as it's below this resistance, things can be much better for altcoins. And if the Bitcoin dominance price gets rejected here and goes down, when Bitcoin dominance gets rejected, it's very good for altcoins. And in this area, if it gets rejected, the next level could reach close to 55% in this section, which could result in a strong upward move for Near protocol. If we look at the dominance of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins, as you can see, if this one also drops, it's good for altcoins. This is a very important chart, and as you can see, in this area, it has hit a very strong trend line, but still hasn't been able to break through it. This is very good. If the price gets rejected here and goes down, it will reach these next supports, which are around 72%, and it could push Near protocol to a higher leg close to $4.50 or even near $8. It depends on Near protocol itself and its performance. That was today's video about Near protocol, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dominance. I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe, and don't forget that trading is never 100% certain. Everything is based on probability. And I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Until the next video, goodbye.